teaching people to see through 4 lenses at the same time sounds like a tall order, but it's a question of practice, it's a question of study, it's a question of learning to sharpen your perceptual skills, to ask the right question, to solve the right problem in the right sequence per individual.
That's right, and building the confidence to be able to do that and
Yeah.
to step out of your comfort zone sometimes because you've had the training and because you've seen that modeled and you've seen bodies and you've lived in your own body, and you start to put those pieces together with the modeling of practitioners who've been doing this for a long time, looking in multiple
Yes,
arenas.
it took me, I would say, 5 years to even wrap my head around as a practitioner with a full practice. My practice miraculously, luckily, not really luckily, but I was fortunate to have a broad platform from the very beginning when I started, so my practice was full from day one. So I was seeing 10 clients, 15 clients, sometimes more every week for years and years and years. But it took 5 years of that much clinical experience before I started to become comfortable of differentiating a biochemical problem from a biomechanical problem, from a scar tissue problem, from an emotional problem, and really feeling like I could address those problems head on when they showed up, when people would arrive. They'd arrive for one thing, and I would say, what this is about is not so much the pain in your pelvic floor. It's really more fundamentally at a deeper level caused by an imbalance in your gut flora. And that is, if you want to get down to first causes, in your case, that's your first cause.
One of the ways that we're going to be able to help practitioners sharpen their skills is, really to know what questions to ask and when, how to set up a session.
Yes. The refrain that I keep revisiting again and again in my dissertation is, why doesn't anyone ever ask the right questions? And I think that people don't know how to frame the right question because they aren't looking at a big enough screen. They're looking at only the sex, or they're looking maybe at only the scar tissue, or maybe they're
Only
looking
the trauma.
at only the trauma, or only the breath, or only client-led sessions. But there's a lot of confusion, and I get so many questions around, how do you know when somebody's biochemically imbalanced? How do you know when somebody needs to cleanse? How do you know when somebody needs to change their diet? How do you even begin to negotiate that conversation with someone as a sexological body worker? And it's so central to what we do, because if you're doing anal massage, you're all up in their digestive system. And the conversation about bloat and IBS and I have these problems and there's this, constipation and on, it comes up. If there's a chronic inflammatory condition of any kind, the gut is underlying that, and we need to be comfortable around the conversation, around that crucial piece of how do we know what's happening inside those intestines, and how do we negotiate that conversation. So that's one of the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
How do you know when somebody's biomechanically imbalanced? How do you know that their psoas is short, and that's what's actually driving their groin pain or the pain in their testicle, or what's contributing to pelvic floor pain for women, or even potentially driving a herniation or a cystocele, a rectocele, or some kind of prolapse situation, that short, tight psoas is actually displacing the intestines forward and also creating increased intra-abdominal pressure that's contributing to the prolapse situation. How do you know that it's time to tell them that they need to stretch their quads? If they can't get their quads open, they can't get their psoas open. If they can't get their psoas open, their prolapse will not resolve. So finding the confidence to say that, no, this really is where the work is, and until this work is complete, you're not going to get the results you came to me to accomplish. That took another 5 years. So this is not something that we get overnight, but with appropriate modeling and putting it into the context of what's possible for sexological bodywork, we can give people shortcuts to actually navigate this multi-dimensional questioning
and
effectively.
to build practice, because you're actually helping people with the underlying cause, so they're getting better,
It's
which
true.
helps your practice
When
grow.
people get better, they refer. And when they refer, your practice grows. And so I see a lot of sexological body workers who are sort of wondering when and where and how their practice is going to take off. And it comes back, essentially to asking the right questions and having the right tools to apply to those answers when you get them.
That's right. I'm really excited about being able to share those tools with the people who come to the training.
Yeah, me too.